Hello, Penny here. This time on the podcast, we are diving into the archive for a potato triple bill. He's like a feeder, but for gardeners. He's like, bought me seeds, bought me seed potatoes. He's also bought me 10 bags of muck. 3 episodes from chitting. I turned my back on the bed, and now I can't remember where I put that potato, to pulling up lovely spuds. Oh, coming with it. Really long roots. Oh, hang on, the plant's bigger than I expected. Oh, look, potatoes. Oh my God, actual potatoes. One big bumper, half-hour episode of potato growing fun. And relax. It's over. Well, it's nearly over. Winter. The imprisonment for all gardeners. We just look out the window at a load of brown stuff that looks dead and like it will never spring back to life. But no, there are signs of spring everywhere. As I tell our daughters, and I've always told our daughters, on really, there's walks that you take your kids on, you think is going to be really good fun, but no one really enjoys themselves. Everyone quite can't wait to get back home. But on a kind of February, early March walk, I would, of course, begin spotting everything with slight bud attached to it, or a slight sprouting of something, or fresh green coming through, and call it signs of spring. Look, girls, signs of spring. Now, when you're 6, 7, 8, maybe that's pushing it, that's quite exciting because you've been told in the tone of voice to be excited, haven't you? Oh, look, signs of spring. Oh, yeah, Mum, look. Mummy, look, is that a sign of spring? No, darling, that's a crisp packet on the side, but never mind. Someone's been out, haven't they? Lovely. But now they're older and so wise at the age of 15 and 13. They're so clever and smart. They don't need that. But it is payback because they will never, ever escape signs of spring. And in fact, one of our girls came home from a bike ride the other day with a mate, and she went, I couldn't help myself. I said to my mate, hey, look, signs of spring. And then I realised I sounded like a real idiot, just like you, Mum. And then I think she pulled the V's up behind my back, but I can't actually provide any evidence for that. So, here we are. Signs of spring in the garden after a considerably long period of time indoors. In fact, it's a considerably long period of time in the UK not really doing anything at all. So it is a delight to get a change of scene, frankly. And yes, the temperature is cold and it's chilly if you're not moving. But there's no wind, it's a blue sky, it's sunshine, sunshine, sunshine. So I'm getting my gardening on. I'm getting my muscles built up again. I'm trying not to overdo it, but I am a bit excited. I have in my hand a Stanley knife, a sharp, watch yourself, don't do anything with that you shouldn't do. But let's just go in the greenhouse first and get a tool before I show you what I'm going to do with my Stanley knife. So, this is the first year of the greenhouse. Star date, 1st of March 2021. Greenhouse, year 1. Come on, in we go. So, let's get that shut. Oh my God. I break a pane of glass, I'm actually going to get divorced from. I think my husband will divorce me on pain of death. Get it? So, I can't quite, never mind, we'll do that later. What I've done, you may remember from such times as Series 1, my garden podcast, I brought in things like Modelphiniums, Cannas, hostas. I brought those in to protect them over the winter. Now, I've never done that. I've just always left stuff out, a bit haphazard. But I thought now I'm professionalising with a small greenhouse. I can do such things as bring them in. So they'll be ready to go out soon. But we had a frost last night, and I dare say we'll continue to have frosts until the end of March. So I'm going to hedge my bets. I'm finding this quite difficult because I've not actually spoken into a microphone on the podcast for a little while. So even my mouth moving doesn't feel that fluent. I should do warming up, shouldn't I? Me, 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 la, la, la. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a bit off key. Anyway, I'm sure I'll get the hang of it. So, what are you doing this summer, hey? What are you doing this spring? What are you doing with your garden? What am I doing with my garden? I don't know, is the answer, but I feel rather under pressure. Husband, beautiful, handsome husband, went off and ordered me. Joey, leave it. You can't have that. Cucumber seeds, can't have that. Loads and loads of seeds. We've got cucumbers, tomatoes, lettuce, I don't know why I said it like that, so I was reading it, lettuce, coriander, didn't know you could grow that, Brussels sprouts at the other end of the spectrum, rocket, leek, cabbage, chili peppers, loads of things. And now I feel quite under pressure to deal with them in some sort of organised fashion. But I can't be bothered. So what I've done instead is taken the potatoes that he ordered me, the seed potatoes, and read about them. Got a bit excited. So I've got some instructions here. And I'm currently doing in this box, chitting them. No, chitting them. Don't be rude. And what that means, I now know, means you're getting some sproutage off them before you put them in the dark soil. So you're going to get a bit of sproutage to give them a head start. Now these are Casablanca earlies, which means they will provide us with salad potatoes, new potatoes, June, July time. I'm really concerned I'm going to do what I did last year, which was like an absolute idiot. What is it, Joey? Leave the cat alone. What is it? I'm some sort of magnet for furry friends, as it were, at the moment. Wherever I go, they're there in my grill. Anyway, so where was I? Potatoes. What I'm worried about is goofing it like I did last year, which was to sow a whole packet of something because I thought that's what you did and I didn't even think about it. So I'm worried that if I put all of the potatoes in the ground, we're going to have a glut of potatoes, which we won't know what to do with. We'll be eating wall-to-wall potato salad, basically, won't we? In the summer. So I want to stagger my journey into potato growth. So I'm doing a bit of chitting with half of them. The other half are in this nice box, keeping dry and warmish. And so I'll just stagger. Anyway, we'll just see. I don't know how many potatoes I'll get off each seed potato. I don't really know how to plant them. It's all that have a go gardener stuff. Right, what's this Stanley knife for? Let's go and have a look. So stepping away from the greenhouse, Mr. Husband has also, he's like a feeder but for gardeners. He's like bought me seeds, bought me seed potatoes. He's also bought me 10 bags of muck, which is a combination of manure and compost. And with the new veg boxes that we've got, these big 2 metre long, 1.5 metre wide veg boxes, something like that, we're going to be putting all those seeds in eventually. Cucumbers, some other stuff, lettuce, not too much of it, potatoes, etc. So they're only half full of some old compost off our compost heap at the moment. So what I'm going to do is split some of these bags of Mr. Muck. Sounds filthy, doesn't it? It sounds like a nightclub in Soho in the 70s. We're going to put some Mr. Muck in and just get the soil really good. Going to get it really good for when the seedlings go in. Oh, I'm knackered just thinking about it, all the work. And I think that's when you've not done something for so long, the perception of doing it is more hard work than the actual doing it. So all winter you're like, oh, I can't wait to get in the garden, can't wait to get in the garden. And you get in the garden, you're like overwhelmed by how much there is to do, how much you want to do, the lack of ability, manpower, woman power, the lack of hours in the day, etc. And all of a sudden you're a bit tired because you haven't got your strength back to do it. But it does come back, it just takes a little while. Plenty of hot baths after days of gardening, I'm sure, to soak the muscles. So we've got 2 jobs to do. We've got to just split this bag. Let's just get on with it. Let's stop chatting about it. Let's get on with it. How do you split a bag? Hey, do you go across diagonally? Hey, like that? Or do you go from the top and then tip it out? Doesn't really matter, does it? Now, is it going to stink of horse poo? That's what I want to know. I remember my parents getting, probably every year, a lorry load, it felt like a lorry load anyway, of manure, actual manure. Oh, that's a bit heavy. Oh, there we go. Dumped onto the drive. And then my dad would spend like a whole afternoon shoveling shit. Shoveling manure into his little wheelbarrow and trundling it round right up to the end of the garden. Oh, I've just realised I've recreated my parents' life in my own garden. I'm going to have potatoes, I'm going to have this. It's all at the end of the garden in the sunny spot. I'm getting stuff delivered and dumped on the drive. But at least this stuff doesn't smell at all. That's a bit of a shame. I quite like the smell of manure. I feel like I'm on a farm. But I'm not on a farm and I don't feel like it right now. Right, okay. I feel like I'm rambling. I feel like I'm really, really chit-chatting, like I've not actually had chance to speak for months to anyone other than my husband and my children. And that would be the case. I haven't really, apart from Zoom calls, work stuff. So I'm just pushing out this incredibly black manure, muck stuff, compost. I'm just literally using my fingers as a rake, actually. I'm just going to come around to the other side just to spread it out a bit. You know, I like using a rake, but I do think if you've got time to use your hand, you can get into all the knotty bits, all the big lumps, and you can sift it a little bit more. A bit like baking. Probably best done with your hands to just get all the lumps out, and also you can feel the level really nicely. And you know what? I've got gloves on, but there is a really nice feeling of being down with the hands in the soil and going through these lumps and just rubbing them so they're a bit less lumpy. It's very satisfying. So where I've done that, it looks really nice. I don't know whether I should be digging it in with the other stuff or whether the rain will just help the nutrients penetrate the existing soil. Look at me with big words, nutrients. Oh, I do love it. Every now and again I come across out of our compost, a milk bottle top. Doesn't compost, does it? The family aren't getting that memo though, are they? No. So you get all the twigs out and things like that, and it looks like a really nice, finely milled seed bed. So yeah, I think I'm going to have to do another bag actually, just to finish off this veg box. So put another couple of sacks in there, get it really nice, and then in a couple of weeks I think my seed potatoes will be well chitted. I don't quite know how to use it as a verb actually. To chit, I chit, you chit. They'll have sprouts on them basically, have stuff growing off them, and then I will you see, you didn't come here for my expertise, did you? And then we'll put those in the ground and then hopefully have potatoes soon. So yeah, it's exciting. It's wonderful to be back. It really is. So nice to breathe the fresh air and feel the sun on your face and know that there's so much potential and abundance of wonderful things that will be happening over the next few months. I'm looking at my chitted spuds and I'm looking at my bed, which is a raised vegetable bed box. Not very full of the old soil just yet because I know that I'm going to have to build up my soils, build up my spuds, bank them, I believe is the correct term. So again, we are in the gardening podcast proving enormous amounts of inexpertise when it comes to something new. So this has been the challenge, or it is the challenge, isn't it, with gardening, that, when you come to do something for the first time, it is just that. It's that awkwardness of it being the first time. I'm never sure how things are going to go. And I'm nervous. I won't deny it about the world of potato growing. I mean, I think I get in my own way sometimes. I should just get on with it, which is what we're going to do. So I've got 9, 10 chitted potatoes. A few months ago, I didn't know what that was, but it just means some stuff growing out of it that might grow a bit more. And I batched them into 2 lots when they first arrived, these earlies, thinking that the ones in the dark box in the greenhouse wouldn't grow at all. In fact, I'd be storing them for a kind of backup batch in case the first batch went horribly wrong. And the other batch, the other half, went in the house. I've even had it on the radiator at some point, just to really bring it along. Barely moved. Happened to go in the earlies box in the greenhouse earlier, and what's happened? They've been forced. They're all chitted, they're all ready to go. So, a learning curve about how to chit potatoes, and does it matter? Who knows? So, I might have mentioned in a previous podcast about, I did mention, I don't know, I'm trying to pretend I didn't, that I had become a little bit like my parents, and I have recreated the garden that I grew up with. So I've recreated that garden. So I called my dad up and said, "Potatoes, Dad, what did you do?" And he basically made it sound very simple. As long as the soil doesn't get too wet or they rot. So I suppose I ought to just get stuck in. He said basically bury them. You keep burying them. Every time they appear, you just keep burying them. Which for him was quite straightforward. Normally he's a bit more elaborate with his explaining. So, a box of spuds. I think I'm going to have to be quick about because I think Joey will think these are balls and try and eat them. So let's get one in the ground. There's my trusty trowel. I like this one. It's got a little leather strap to hold it up on a hook in the shed. Makes it look very professional. So I'm assuming, dig a little hole, bob it in, chit side up, little sprouty side up, and then you cover it. And then you wait for the sprout to come along again, and then you cover that, and you keep covering. Oh, I've just found caterpillar larva. Oh, I must have disturbed it in the soil. Well, I'm glad I've disturbed you because you're now being jettisoned into the Corona Wildflower Meadow of Hope, my dear. Bye-bye. Because we don't want caterpillars crawling all over the spuds. Now, this is a thing. This is interesting. I turned my back on the bed and now I can't remember where I put that potato. The thing is, if I lay them out, Joey's going to go off with one of them. I know what I'll do. I'll put a marker down. Now, as much as I love my dad, I don't always listen to what he's got to say. Because he does go on a bit. Talks at you. He's one of those. Talks at you. So I just sort of had a half ear and I got the gist and then went, yeah, whatever. Can't actually remember what he said about the distance between potatoes. And, my dad is recently, last year, diagnosed with dementia. And most of the time he's fine and dandy. And then a lot, the other times he's confused and quite angry, actually. Fair enough. I think I would be if I couldn't remember stuff and it was all a bit frustrating. So it's really nice to get information from him that he confidently talks about rather than it being a bit wispy in his mind and a bit, he's on a sure foot with that topic. So gardening, for example, gardening tips, how to do stuff. His past, his childhood, I was asking him about that as well yesterday. Something came up in conversation about my nan, his mum, used to do sort of, I say showgirl dancing, but line dancing, like as a troupe in the 1930s, with top hats and canes on the church stage, I think, and tap dancing. And I'd never known where he got his musicality from and his showmanship from, because my dad is a massive show off, I have to say. He loves a musical, does my dad. Right, final one. I put the final spud in. I do like Victoria Wood's joke from the 80s. In Britain, I don't know if you remember, there was a shop that used to sell jacket potatoes called Spuds You Like. But she rather cunningly, cleverly, was referring at one point to Spuds, that new shop on the high street where you can get a jacket potato. Spuds, which I thought was rather marvellous. Right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spuds in, taking up the whole of the bed with nice space about them. They're patted down, they haven't got too much soil on top of them. I'm not going to water them as per Roger's instruction. Roger the Dodger, my dad. It's a shame he couldn't come out to the garden actually yesterday and take a look and do some pointing with his stick at what I should be doing, because I think that would be a nice way of handing on knowledge, wouldn't it? Otherwise we just had to have a bit of a chat about it. A bit of a chat for it and a hope for the best. We'll see. I do like a new potato. Tuna niçoise, salmon salad. It's all good, isn't it? I love receiving emails from you, my gardening chums. If you're enjoying this longer episode, drop me a line. hello@bitfamous.co.uk. The moment has come to reveal the potatoes in the ground. How have they done? Now is the moment of reckoning. I'm going to find out what on earth is in the ground. Are they new potatoes? Are they tiny? Are they massive baking potatoes and I've overshot? I don't know. So I've got inappropriate footwear on. It's one of those jobs I didn't actually come out to do. I've got a bowl, like a pot from somewhere, and that's going to be what my receptacle. I love that word. And I've come out just for a little potter with the dog and a bit of light deadheading, and thought, I'll just check those earlies, because it is time to have a look. It is the beginning of July. It's not exactly been sunbathing weather, and here we are at the veg box. Now it's absolutely full of beautiful green, verdant green potato plants, and what we've got is a bit of flowering happening, so I'm guessing they're kind of coming to the end of their time. Their job is done, so we've got to find out what's in the ground. So I'm going to put my fork in. I don't know why I'm using a fork instead of a spade. It just looks like it might be more professional and useful. See, I've even got gold flip-flops on for the occasion. Oh, can you hear that prizing of potatoes out of the ground? I don't know if I'm doing this right. I'm going to just... I don't know what I'm doing actually. Oh look, potatoes! Oh my god! Actual potatoes! Whoop! Hang on, come back. Oh, the soil's so lovely. Hang on, where have you gone? Are you in there? Right, oh my god, 1. Oh, dig in with my hands. 2. Come on, there must be a bit more. Oh yeah, loads more. Oh, I think I need to go deeper. Oh, hang on. What's that on that? Oh, it's a bit of skin that's been pulled off. Oh, now remember this. My dad's cousin also had potato knowledge to input the other week when I saw him. And Brian and Roger told me that Cheshire new potatoes, were just potatoes grown in Cheshire. Which is what these are. Right, so I'm going to pull... heave. Oh, I'm coming with it. Really long roots. Oh, hang on, the plant's bigger than I expected. There's nothing on the end of these plants, but in the ground, what's left behind? Cheshire new potatoes. Hey, the skins are very thin apparently, because they're grown in quite Now, did he say clay or sand? I can't remember. They're grown in soil that's quite sandy, that's it, sandy. And they have quite thin skins, and the skins sort of come off in the pot when you boil them. Right, okay, so there's quite a few there. It's enough for a dinner, enough for a meal. There we go, in the pot. They're nice. Let's give them a sniff. Oh, they smell earthy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not too big, not too small, fairly uniform in size. They'd boil up nicely in a few minutes, and I bet they taste really buttery. Right, do you know what? I'm a bit addicted. I'm gonna have to get some more out. See what else is in here. What's in this one? We've got about, well, we planted 8 potato plants, or 8 potatoes, and then kept mounding up on top to cover the plants. Really important part of, look at me, expert. Yeah, it's a really important part of, growing potatoes, Cheshire new potatoes. And you sort of bank them up. You keep banking them, they call it. I didn't really understand what that was when I first read it. But basically you keep covering it. It's a bit like at the beach when you're burying someone. You just keep putting stuff on top to try and cover them up. And you know what? They keep growing. It's amazing. I'm going to ruin my sandals. Oh well. Right, let's heave-ho this one up. See what... Oh, look, I can see absolutely tons of them underneath this one. Right, I'm going to have to go around to the other side. Oh, it's so exciting. I've never grown potatoes before. I've never grown much before, to be honest, so this is a real thrill. And do you know what? I think I wouldn't be so worried, I suppose, next time. It's like anything, isn't it? But my dad's knowledge was really useful. Oh, I've put a fork. Oops, I've put the fork right through one. Make it into a necklace. My dad's knowledge was fabulous. I mean, just sharing the fact that you don't water them, because I would have drenched them thinking that's what fruit and vegetables need in order to grow, but it's fascinating. No moisture. We put covers over them actually to begin with when they were quite little. Water cooler flagons with the bottoms cut off make fantastic cloches. And then off they grew. This is very exciting. Oh, and another one. They are lovely. They're really pale actually in colour. I never thought I'd be talking about potatoes with such excitement. I've never spoken about potatoes with this much excitement in the past. It's yeah. Oh, and another. Oh my gosh, that's quite a big one. That might do for a lunch jacket. Not that big actually. I'll tell you what's great about this as well. The leaves of the plant bit will go in the compost and will ultimately become compost for maybe next year's potatoes. Circle of life, isn't it? Don't you think? Circle of life. Now that's exciting. And the nice thing is, what's left behind is really loamy, and we know what that means, people, don't we? We mean loamy means well structured, not compacted soil, which we can put something else in. And in fact, I've got some cabbages growing in the greenhouse which need to come out soon enough. Oh, and the final potato is a teeny tiny little baby, barely bigger than my thumb nail, and that is sweet, and I will definitely put that in the pot for cooking. I'm not going to do anything more with them than boil them, stick some butter or some mayonnaise on them, bit of salt. So I'll put the last of these spuds into the pot, divide them up and take some round for my mum and dad, who have actually recently moved house. They've downsized massively and they don't have a veg patch. My dad advised on these potatoes. Having recently been diagnosed with dementia, he was able to recall confidently how to grow potatoes and help me with them. So I think they'll really enjoy these for tea tonight, perhaps, in their happy new home.